Hey everybody, this is All Things Cheryl coming to you to do a review and a recap of a series that is been going on Netflix since February. The title of it is 7 Seconds, which is in my mind, which is basically a gem in hiding. I'm going to give you the cast of characters. I'm not going to give you all of them, but I'm going to basically give you the main characters. In this 7 seconds of mystery crime and racial tension amongst the community, the people of color community, amongst the police department, amongst the political and the loyalty, in a way how all of them intertwine together when it comes to loyalty and keeping up. We start out with, by the way, the story takes place in Jersey City and New Jersey, which is basically, I live in New Jersey, and some of the scenery that we see in this series is pretty good. And by the way, there is 10 episodes. This is the first season. We're not quite sure whether or not if they're going to bring it back for the second season. But I will tell you this: if you're a Netflix goer and you wanna check out something that will keep you gripped to the screen, check out second 7 seconds. We start out in episode 1 in season 1, and the title of the episode is The Plot, which is well fitting for the first episode. This is where we get to meet the cast of characters for the plot and how the plot begins. We see this blue car that's basically driving kind of fast in a rural area between New York City and New Jersey. I believe it was the Liberty Park, going towards the Liberty Park. And we see a young um, person on the phone, talking on the phone. And we find out that this young man is talking with his wife, and his name is Peter. Now, Peter is basically one of the main characters that 7 seconds is somewhat centered around. And so we see Peter on the phone talking to his wife. Apparently, his wife is basically pregnant, and he is basically on his way. But he's not really paying attention to basically what he's doing. He's talking to his wife, and he's driving really fast on the road. And so while he's talking to his wife, and he tells his wife, I basically will see you later, because that's what he says. He tells his wife, look, I'll see you later, and I'm on my way to the hospital. All of a sudden, we hear this boom. And this boom was that he basically had hit something, but he didn't know exactly what he had hit, because what had happened is that his car basically spun around 300, counterclockwise, and he stopped right in the middle. So he stopped his brakes, he put on brakes, and he sat in the car, and he cut everything off to kind of compose himself. Once he got himself together, he got out of the car and to see what was going on. Now, this is when we find out that the big joke or the big boom, because sometimes you, especially and when you're in a park and you're driving, especially parks that have like deers and stuff that have a tendency of running across the road, and before you know it, you'll hit a deer and something, and you're not even aware that you have hit something. But we find out that he had hit basically a kid, and this kid was on a bike. So he had hit this kid on a bike, and he realized that he had hit this kid on a bike, because when he got out of his car the first time, instead of him checking to see what was going on, what was happening, he was checking his car, to checking his bumper, to see how his bumper was, how much damage was caused to the car. And so this is when we meet Peter, who is a cop who has just been transferred from another department in New Jersey, in the state of New Jersey, to another department, and I think it was the South Ward or something like the North Ward. I'm not quite sure, but he had been transferred. So we see a group of cops coming, and this is where we get to meet the group of cops, and this is how the plot begins. We meet D'Angelo, and D'Angelo is the head of the undercover department when it comes to narcotics. And so apparently what had happened, that Peter had basically called D'Angelo to let him know exactly what was going on and what he had done. And so we see here, you see that D'Angelo and Peter is talking to each other. And this is when we find, this is how the plot begins. D'Angelo asks Peter, did you know what happened? Do you know who you hit? Do you know whether or not it was a man or whether or not it was a woman? And Peter said no, he did not know who he had hit. And so this is when D'Angelo tells him that you basically had hit a black child, a black boy. And the impact of the car was so powerful that his truck, or his truck, had hit the boy into the ditch. So the ditch, you could see that it was this ditch that he had hit this boy into the ditch. And so D'Angelo asked him, he says, well, have you seen, have you taken a look at, who you hit and everything? And he said, no. He says, okay, this is what I want you to do. Yeah, and this is when D'Angelo was talking to him about his wife. He said, have you been to see your wife yet? Do you know what's going on with your wife? And Peter says, no, I don't know what's going on with my wife. And so D'Angelo instructed Peter to drive away. He instructed Peter to drive away. When he instructed Peter, there were two other cops that was with D'Angelo, because basically they are with the undercover division, where they investigate, drugs and gang banging and a whole bunch of stuff. And so this is when D'Angelo tells Peter that you have hit a black child. Now, we go on and we find out that this is where Peter drives off. While Peter drives off, then this is where we meet Regina King, who is a school teacher. Now, mind you, we have no idea what is going on, because we meet another young woman, a young child who is a student at Regina's school. And so Regina sees this young lady, this young girl who's outside of the school waiting for and looking for her brother. But she approaches the young lady and she asks the young lady, she says, "Do you need any help? Is what's going on?" And so Regina, I'm going to call her Regina. So Regina tells her, look, I can assist you in looking for your brother. And so she puts the young lady in her car and they go out looking for the brother. Well, come to find out that the younger brother of the young girl, white young girl, is he's a biker. He likes riding, those little small little bikes that they like to ride. And so Regina helps the young girl gets her brother into puts her brother's bike in the back of Regina's trunk, and they get into the car. And so we're basically riding off. And then we see that a we see Regina is had dropped the young girl off, and then she is at choir rehearsal. This is where we get to meet Russell, who is Russell Butler, who is Regina's husband. So Russell and Regina, they are husband and wife, and they are God-fearing, all-going churchgoers. And so while Regina and her husband, and basically they're practicing choir rehearsal and everything, we get to meet, this is when we get to meet the prosecutor. And we get to meet the prosecutor, and her name is K.J. Hopper, who is a lawyer, but she is a black woman and who is an alcoholic person, basically. We get to meet the lawyer who basically is going to be a part of Russell and Regina's life. Now, we go on and we find out that Regina gets a call. No, we find out that after rehearsal, Russell and Regina, they're basically coming from home, and Russell checks the phone recorder to find out that the police department, has called them about their son. Now, Russell and Regina only has one son, so they only have one child. And so this is where we find out that Russell has a brother, and the brother's name is Seth. Seth, excuse me, Seth, Seth. And that he is basically in this service, and they were getting ready to do a surprise party to welcome him home from the service. But we also find out that Russell is kind of sort of estranged from his son, and his son's name is Brandon. I think it's Brandon. And this is when we find out that Brandon basically was the person who got hit in the park by Peter, and Peter drove off without reporting it to the police department, because basically he did what his captain told him to do, D'Angelo, which was to drive off. and go and check on his family. In the meantime, we also get to meet the detective who will basically be playing a major part in investigating this murder that we as we get into a little bit more. And his name was Joe Fisher. Now, Joe Fisher is a detective basically that has been transferred from New York to Jersey City Department to investigate various various uh, criminal cases. And so this is where we find out and we see the cast of characters. We meet in the major parts of these characters as it developed. We meet Fisher, who is the investigator for the case for the Butlers, which is the Butlers are Regina King and Russell, who are married to each other. And then we get to meet KJ, who will be the lawyer for the Butler family. But it plays out that this is a gem. It will keep you glued to because you want to find out what is going on. Now we know that Peter, he did accidentally. We find out that he wanted to do the right thing, but he got cast in a pool of not so good cop versus bad cops. And as we get into each episode, you will see. But this is just the beginning of 7 Seconds, which is a crime series, which is new, which is by Netflix. And I will tell you, it is some twist and it's some burn. And I don't want to basically spoil it. I would want you to go and check it out because this is really good. And I was basically looking for something that I could brush my skills up on because I really hadn't done any reviews or recaps of any series since the two series that I did was Queen Sugar and Greenleaf. So I found a series, and I think you guys should really go check it out. This is a gem in disguise. I basically been watched it, but I want to do a series. I want to do an episode by episode. It's 10 episodes, and I want to do this episode is because I wanted to develop my comment areas. So this is it for me. So I'm going to tell you, click. I'm going to tell you to subscribe. I'm going to tell you to hit the notification. I'm going to tell you to comment in the areas, and I'm going to tell you to hit the thumbs up or hit the thumbs down. And till the meantime, I'm saying that's all I got. I ain't got no more, but I'm giving you a little bit of taste of this Netflix crime series called 7 Seconds. Until the next time, until I come through with episode 2. I just wanted to give you a little taste for you to go over there and hit Netflix, do episode 1, and let's do this together, and then you can help me kind of develop myself as I go along. I'm looking for more subscription. Until the next time, peace and love. This is Friday. This is the weekend. Peace and one love. And I ain't got no more. This is it.